In this session, there will be companies' pitch presentations about their product and technologies, and we are going to hear from the speakers from Japanese business corporations presenting about products and technologies contributing to the climate change challenge and decarbonize the society. Each company time slot has 10 minutes, including a presentation plus question and answers. I would like to first introduce the first presenter, Mr. Shusaku Kawasaki from Daikin Industries. Please. Thank you very much.
My name is Shu Kawasaki from Daikin. Firstly, I'd like to thank JICA for the opportunity to attend this important event. Today, I'll explain about Daikin's effort towards carbon neutrality. We are aiming to achieve carbon neutral by 2050 through our environmentally friendly and energy-saving technology. Next, please. Next page, please. Keeping in mind today's time limits, among our diverse technological solutions, I'd like to focus on our two core technologies that we are disseminating globally to mitigate climate change and the social issues through low GWP refrigerants, as well as inverter technologies. Next, please. I'll briefly introduce our corporate profile, followed by our environmental vision for 2050. Next, please. To briefly introduce Daikin, as of today, we are operating in over 160 countries with more than 100 production bases around the world. 80% of our sales today is generated overseas. I'd like to highlight that we are the only air conditioning manufacturers producing equipment as well as a refrigerant, which allows us a competitive advantage with our R&D to continuously launch innovative solutions, maintaining Daikin as a global leader in the air conditioning industry. Next, please. Just as a reference, over 90% of our sales come from our AC business, and the remaining sales come from our chemical and other businesses. Next, please. Next slide, please. As for Daikin's environmental vision, we are committed to our effort to reduce greenhouse gas emission to net zero by 2050, in cooperation with our stakeholders, utilizing IoT or AI technologies and through open innovations. We are also dedicated to providing safe and healthy air through our IEQ solutions to improve quality of life at work and home, and to minimize health risk by infectious diseases, particularly now with the COVID-19. And this is a roadmap to achieve carbon neutrality. We plan to achieve our carbon neutral goal through our energy efficient and environmental friendly products and through our energy service solution. We are promoting open innovation with diverse stakeholders, developing green buildings as well as the smart cities, and taking other carbon offset actions such as refrigerant recycling and the forest conservation. Next, please. Now, I'll explain about one of our core technology, which is a low GWP refrigerant. Next, please. To briefly summarize the refrigerant transition history, in the 80s, HCFC22 was commonly used in the residential AC. But as it was discovered to harm the ozone layer, it was banned under the Montreal Protocol. Following that, from 2000, HFC410A became widespread as an alternative, but due to its high global warming potential and the climate change concern, it has now been regulated. Since 2010, R32 has been introduced as a low global warming potential solution, which has been globally adopted today. Next, please. Daikin has promoted the transition to R32 in residential air conditioning products since 2010 and succeeded in over 100 countries, which represent over 50% of the market penetration today, contributing to carbon emission reductions. Next, please. I will now explain about inverter technology through the following slides. Next, please. According to the International Energy Agency reports on the future of cooling, energy demand by air conditioning is expected to triple by 2050, especially by significant demand increments in emerging markets as air conditioning has become essential and for health and well-being. Next, please. Next slide, please. AC demand is expected to grow drastically as shown in the IEA report. And the worst case scenario is that more power generation capacity will be required to meet electricity demand, which would result in increased CO2 emission, as well as become financial burden for the nations. Would you go back to the previous slide? As a solution, we are promoting inverter air conditioning, which would provide significant energy saving benefits, around 60% compared to non-inverter ACs. Thank you. Next slide, please. We have collaborated with Japanese government agency under public-private partnership programs to promote inverter technology, as well as support the development of the energy efficiency policy in emerging countries. Today, I'd like to share our cooperation with JICA in both Latin America and Africa in the following slides. Please. Next slide, please. We have conducted a demonstration project to prove the benefits of inverter technology under a JICA program in Brazil. Back to previous slide, please. Energy consumption was measured between inverter and non-inverter type ACs in 3 different cities, which were Sao Paulo, Florianopolis, and Rio de Janeiro, operating both units under the same conditions, hours, and periods. The results shows that inverter AC are more efficient by almost 60% in all 3 locations. The result of the project was used by Brazilian government to develop energy efficiency standards for air conditioning based on its annual performance factor. Thank you. Next slide, please. Likewise, in Mexico, a similar inverter demonstration project was conducted with the support of JICA, comparing energy saving between inverter and non-inverter type ACs in 5 major cities with different climate conditions. The results show the average of 55% energy saving by inverter air conditioning across all 5 locations. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. We have launched a unique air-as-a-service model in Tanzania, in which customers do not have to buy air conditioning. Back to the previous slide. But instead may pay a fixed usage fee via their smartphone while keeping initial costs down. There has been a complex situation in the Tanzania market, and although facing a hot temperature, AC penetration remains low, and the cheap and inefficient products are mainstream. In addition, in many cases, air conditioning are left out of order, which is referred to as zombie air conditioning by local people due to immature installation and the repair skills of the installers. Through this air-as-a-service model, we are providing a comfortable and efficient cooling to people in Tanzania with low life cycle costs to enjoy our high efficiency inverter air conditioning. Next, please. I would like to conclude my presentation expressing our commitment to continue providing innovative solutions to contribute towards more sustainable, safe, and healthy communities. With that, I'm leaving my contact information for any queries. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kawasaki, for the presentation.
Next is from Horiba Limited. Here is Mr. Kobayashi, please. My name is Kobayashi from Horiba. Thank you very much for giving me this great opportunity for me. Thank you for JICA and the Secretariat. Today, just very briefly, I would like to introduce our company and our measurement technology for hydrogen world and also carbon neutrality and our analyzer technology. This is our corporate profile. In 1945, our company was established with analyzing equipment and also measuring equipment. We have business in Kyoto. We have 8,000 employees. 60% or so are international members, and 70% of the sales comes from the overseas countries. Motto is joy and fun. We always want to be motivated because when you are working in the office and in the working place, that's where you spend most of the time. So that is why we have this motto of the company, to make it joy and fun. This is the business domain that covers such a wide range with measurement equipment, BTUG, businesses roll out. So usually you might not be able to see all of them, but we are supporting every aspect of life. Hayabusa 2 last year has brought back the stone, and we are measuring it, and we have a lot of measurement equipment for many different technologies. Horiba has unique technologies. We have 5 core unique technologies: gas flow control, infrared measurement, spectroscopic analysis, particle size distribution analysis, and electrochemistry. For the automobile industry and also semiconductor industry, scientific medical industries, and measurement is the keyword for our business. Next is the monitoring technology for the hydrogen society. Hydrogen energy is the core focus of the society right now. Manufacturing hydrogen, store it, and also to use it. In many aspects, Horiba is involved with our measurement equipment and analyzing equipment. And these are the examples where we are using our measurement and analysis technologies. Today, I don't have so much time to make it for details, but I'd like to focus on how to produce hydrogen. This is the hydrogen production system flow processes for F7. City gas is reacted with heat and also to generate hydrogen. But to make it more pure, we have pressure swing absorption to make high purity hydrogen. In this pressure swing absorption, we have absorbent. This absorbent, when the end of life comes, it does not absorb anymore. So to look at the life of this absorbance, when CO concentration in hydrogen goes up, we would know the end of life. In Japan, for the hydrogen technology, Horiba measurement equipment is utilized in Japan for PSA management. For FCEV, here is the hydrogen quality standard. The purity is 99.97% for hydrogen. That is the criteria. Other than that, we have a lot of criteria for impurities. To measure all the impurities, it has associated cost. So CO2 0.2 ppm should be measured and also controlled. So the other higher values can be controlled as well. Next, please. To produce hydrogen, we have to reduce cost of the production, and also we have to secure the quality of hydrogen. And that is where we are using our technology to measure hydrogen impurity, and this is our equipment GA370. So for hydrogen generation, we are using our analyzer called GA370. Next one is for carbon neutrality. We have the needs for analyzers, and we do have the technology for that. As was mentioned before, hydrogen in Japan is the focus, shifting from natural gas. That time, CO2 is not emitted during the process. This CO2 should be recovered, and also we generate hydrogen. That means blue hydrogen is generated. That should contribute to carbon neutrality. CO2 is captured, and this is called carbon dioxide capture storage, CCS, for capturing and also storing carbon. At the CCS plant, as you can see, within the plant, we use amine, low temperature amine with CO2, and when it's heated, CO2 is detached. This is the property, and the generated CO2 is recovered here and captured. At this plant here in Kyushu, Japan, we have this CCS plant like this, where they are using our analytical equipment and measuring equipment. At the time of the CO2 capturing and recovery, HCl and ammonia, which are toxic, and when they are present, we cannot recover CO2. So before the recovery, we have to measure the concentration of the gas, and also after recovery, we have to check the concentration of the CO2. And also amine solution should be removed later on. And also we have to check the property of the amine solution. And for CCS processes, measurement technology and equipment are very important. Carbon neutrality going forward is going to be the more focus. This kind of measurement and analytical technology should be utilized more. That's our hope going forward. If you have any inquiries, please come to us. We can share with you our technology and the information about this one. For carbon neutrality, to produce hydrogen going forward, we use electrified hydrogen, and also CO2 generated should be reduced. As I mentioned before, CCS, CCUS are the new technologies as well. And CO2 generated and hydrogen can be used for methanation. Going forward for carbon neutrality, we have a lot of movements. What is important here is catalysts as well. Property of catalyst is very important as well. To look at the properties of catalyst, we have the analyzer, chemical analyzer, to see what kind of catalyst can be utilized to recover CO2. At the plant, I talked about the plant. There are a lot of CO2 recovery technologies such as CCUS. We need measurement technologies. Of course, we have to measure the recovered CO2 concentration as well. Going forward for carbon neutrality, the society is going to be more and more developed, where we can utilize our measurement and analytical technologies. Last but not least, this is the contact information of our company. However, it's not present in the exhibition this time. So if you'd like to contact us, this is the information for our contact. Thank you very much.
小林様どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.
続きまして株式会
Next is Mr. Sakata from Hakobu. So my name is Sakata from Hakobu. Our company provides the software to optimize logistics, and we call it the green logistics. And we would like to share with you how we can contribute to green logistics. And my company was established in 9.5 years ago. And we have been supported by various investors, especially those who are related in logistics. And the company name Hakobu is a Japanese word meaning transportation. Why we decided to focus on transportation is what I'm going to explain. In order to transition to clean energies, there are three major parts. First of all, energy generation and energy storage and green transportation. Especially, we are focusing on green transportation. And by doing so, we want to make our contribution to climate action. And in transportation, well, this is a data from Japan. And the CO2 emissions in Japan, the portion from the transportation is the largest. And that is 18.6%. And 36.8% of the 18.6% of the total emissions come from trucks. And that's where we focus our attention. And there are many different players in logistics, manufacturers and the wholesalers and retailers, and from retailers to consumers. And this is how the supply chain works. And the logistics companies who operate trucks and the distributors and logistics companies. And there are three major problems with this. One is the disconnection among the players. And we would like to use the digital technology, but the power of digital, so that the players from the manufacturing and wholesale and retail can be connected with each other. And by doing so, so the second question is that the less visibility throughout the supply chain. And what we would like to do is that by utilizing digital technologies, we can accumulate the data, and that will contribute to raising the visibility of the supply chain. The third issue, because of this COVID-19 crisis, and also because of the changes of the consumers, the logistic players, work on fixed routing and relationships among the players, and if we can develop variable logistics network. So these issues with the logistics, what kind of inefficiencies are caused by these issues? First of all, offline or analog communications, and that causes the inefficiencies in terms of the filling truck beds. In Japan, about 40% of the truck beds are filled, but with inefficient truck bed loading, that will cause inefficiency of logistics. So we need to raise that efficiency. The second issue is that the players do not know actual routing of trucks. And that also causes the inefficient routing that may also generate more CO2 emissions. The third is the long waiting time of trucks at factories or warehouses. Truck drivers need to wait for the products to be loaded. That means that the more engine idling time. And sometimes the truck drivers can travel, can make 2 or 3 round trips, but because of the long waiting time, they cannot do so. That also generates inefficiencies. So we are providing a logistic cloud Movo in order to help solve these problems. And these efficiencies of the issues 1 through 3, we can respond to that. And as for the first issues, we can replace the analog communications with a digital communication, which is called Mobile Vista. The second is the monitoring of trucks. It's called the mobile fleet. The third is the loading and unloading at warehouses. We have this berth control system and dock scheduling so that the truck drivers can reserve, at which time he or she would like to dock and pick up the products. So how it is used is, for example, like this. In the past, analog communications were the major mode of communications, but now they are using the smartphone and on tablet. So these photos shows the changes occurring, and the analog communications which were causing inefficiencies in the past, but by replacing it with this logistics software called Movo, each player involved in the logistics can be connected with each other. And as for the CO2 emissions, and this is an example of the company called ASCO, the engine idling has been halved, and which also have the CO2 emissions. And so this is a real case example. And in terms of the user locations, we have, for example, the logistics centers and so forth. There are about more than 7,000 or more user locations which are using our software, and we have the #1 share in Japanese market. Our users include manufacturers, retailers, and distributors, or the logistic companies. So different kinds of players involved in logistics, coming from different industries, use our software. So green logistic solutions, which are our services, have demonstrated its efficacy in Japan, and we look forward to delivering the same result to different companies. And you have this contact address, and if you're interested in, please contact me. That's it from me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sakata.
Next is a presentation from Mr. Tsuchida of Shabondama Soap Company. Thank you very much. I'm Tsuchida from Shabondama Soap. I'd like to introduce an environmentally friendly soap-based fire distinguishing agent as our product. Our company's philosophy is to protect healthy bodies and clean water. We started our business in 1910 in Wakamatsu-ku, Kita-Kyushu City, Fukuoka Prefecture, where we are located now as well. And this year marks the 111th year. since our foundation. Our head office is still located in Wakamatsu, Kitakyushu City, and we have a branch office in Shinagawa, Tokyo. Our main products are additive-free soap, shampoo, detergent, and household products. And our soap-based fire extinguisher is a result of our consistent efforts and know-how to create products that are friendly to people and to the earth. Additive-free soap that is made of natural ingredients is, first of all, 100% biodegradable. Secondly, has low toxicity to aquatic organisms and plants. And the main feature of this product is that it is hypoallergenic to human skin. These characteristics will also contribute significantly to achieving the goals of the SDGs that are addressed by common global efforts. Now let me introduce the main topic, our soap-based fire extinguishing agents. First of all, I would like to share with you the development process. It started with the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake that occurred on January 17th, 1995. This major earthquake destroyed water supply networks, and many firefighters experienced a tragic shortage of firefighting water. And I was one of them, by the way. In response to that, and since 1999, the Kitakyushu City Fire Department and other organizations have been working to extinguish fires with less quantity of water. However, chemically synthesized fire extinguishing agents are very harmful to the environment, and their penetration into underground water has a negative impact on both humans as well as on vegetation. Therefore, as I explained earlier, our company, which has been consistently manufacturing environmentally friendly products, received a request to develop a new soap-based fire extinguishing agent. We began the development in 2001, and with the support of the Japanese government and the University of Kitakyushu, we did again and again research and demonstration for 7 years. And in 2007, a soap-based fire extinguishing agent with a world-class level of environmental performance was completed. There are three main characteristics of this soap-based fire extinguisher. The first is that it reduces the surface tension of the water, increases its permeability, and lowers the temperature of the burning material, resulting in a highly effective extinguishing effect. The second feature is which is unique to soap-based products, is that defoaming after extinguishing is rapid. The third is environmental friendliness, which is now the highest priority for every country in the world. The reason for its high extinguishing performance is that the extinguishing agent reduces the surface tension of the water, which results in, first, improved wetting effect overall without being bounced by burning materials at the same time. Secondly, by increasing penetration, it efficiently removes heat and energy that would otherwise be used to rekindle the flame. The next major feature is the fast defoaming. This is an experiment to compare the difference between this soap-based fire extinguishing agent and the chemically synthesized one. Soap basically binds with minerals in the ground, in the soil, and disappears. The foam disappears after only 10 minutes of exposure, but synthetic extinguishing agent rarely disappear. This defoaming performance leads to a reduction in total cost, as you can safely and quickly get on with fire cleanup and damage assessment. In addition to fire extinguishing performance and then fast defoaming, the most important aspect we have considered is environmental friendliness. The main features of this product are its low toxicity to aquatic organisms, its biodegradability, which means that the components do not remain intact in nature, and that it does not affect the production of plants, vegetation. This table shows the number of killifish in water where seawater and freshwater meet. This is the data from an experiment at the University of Kitakyushu to see at what concentration half of them will die. It was proven to be about 270 times less toxic to the environment at the maximum and about 20 times less toxic at the minimum. This photo shows a model biotope experiment in which 3 types of containers were left for 7 months to reproduce natural vegetation such as water and water plants, and in which only water, soap-based fire extinguish agent, and synthetic fire extinguish agent were added respectively. These 3 containers were observed for 7 months. The container with the chemically synthesized extinguish agent had no vegetation. It disappeared. But the container with the soap-based extinguish agent had almost the same vegetation as the water-only container. We even saw dragonfly larvae, yago, which were not present at the beginning. This chart shows how much of the ingredients of the extinguishing agent will decompose instead of staying in the environment. Soap-based fire extinguishers are almost 90% decomposed, degraded by the 3rd day. After the 4th day, it was 100% decomposed and returned to nature, but we found that all synthetic fire extinguisher agents are only degraded to about 80% and remain in nature even after many days. This photo was taken from a comparison that was made after 10 months of burning vegetation under the same conditions and extinguishing the fire with water only and with a soap-based extinguish agent. Plants and trees sprouted beyond the original vegetation, demonstrating that soap-based fire extinguishers do not affect vegetation. As I have explained, soap-based fire extinguish agents that combine firefighting performance, environmental performance, and then rapid, fast defoaming are now expected to become excellent and effective countermeasures against the forest fires, which have become an urgent issue around the world with their firefighting performance and especially the outstanding environmental performance. This is a picture of a real wildfire where we used this product and confirmed its effectiveness. It has been proven that it extinguishes fire when it is directly applied on burning objects, and also that spraying it on areas that have not yet burned can prevent the spread of fire. We have been introducing soap-based fire extinguishing agents in various countries, mainly focusing on their excellent environmental characteristics and performance. We hope that in your country too, you will make use of this product for the protection of forests and the environment, and hopefully we will be able to work together to reduce carbon emissions and to protect the global environment. That is all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Mr. Tsuchida.
Next is from Ecowood. Here is Mr. Nako, please. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I am from Ecowood. My name is Naka. Thank you very much for giving me this special opportunity here today. This is our company in Fukuoka Prefecture in Kitakyushu City. We are located, and we are using recycled wood and also recycled plastics that are combined to make construction materials called eco and wood. This is a construction material for the outdoor construction. In 2002, we established our company, and we are commemorating the 20th anniversary very soon. This is a corporate history, just very briefly. The orange part shows certifications that we obtained in 2006. May, for example, we are certified for ISO 9001 for the management of the company. The green part indicates awards that we have received. In 2017, in October, with our recycling technology, we have extrusion technology that was awarded by METI. And here, we have been selected as eco-friendly office. And right now, we have the manufacturing technology for the EcoWood. We have our own proprietary technology, and we have Eco-M wood that we are proposing. This is Eco-M wood manufacturing processes. Eco-M wood utilizes unused wood material and the plastic materials as raw materials to make our product. Plastic material, top left, is milled to grains, and also wood materials is grained to powder. So 50% of each of them is measured, and also exclusion technology is used to mix both of them. And here at the center, we have this in-process material. After that, from the die, we extrude the material to shape the Eco-M wood. And then we have superficial processing to finish. 100% of the products are from recycled products, materials. And these materials are for wood decks and also louvers and also benches, outdoor. This is just for your reference. We use wood materials and plastic materials combined. Globally, they have a lot of places where they are using the same technologies. However, they look similar, but they are different. This is not a very good example, but this is not our product. Cost is very important. You have to reduce cost. But as they reduce more cost, they ignore quality. In some of the cases, that's what we hear. And this is one of the examples. This is for a wood deck. After the installation, in 3 months, already it cannot be usable, and they had to repair it. The reason is because there is a distortion of the material, and the floor swelled. So our company solves this kind of problem using new extrusion technology with 2 layers. And right now we are working on new products as well. That's here. You can see the pictures. These are new products from us. We have formed parts inside to make it lighter, and we have 2-layered structure for the wood, so we can increase durability as well. And also you can see the real wood grain, and this is called Eco-M wood. Wood grain is very beautiful, so appearance is very important for us as well, and we expressed very beautiful wood grain by processing. This is not printed surface one by one. We have different wood grain and a pattern that's very close to the natural wood grain. This is because of our technology that we can be proud of. %50 of plastic is the component of this. So that means we do not have to treat these products for anti-corrosion, and we can utilize them outdoor. And for different design, we have different cutting and different processing. The wood material is powdered, so even though they are placed outdoor, there is no thorns and fine splits. They are very safe to be utilized outside. So from here are actual examples of using our wood deck. And you can see this new type Eco M wood on the left side with a beautiful green. And this is the wood deck. This is an individual house, private house. And because of pandemic, a lot of people are staying home. There is a great needs increasing for people to stay home and to make the home life very comfortable. And as an item to make people comfortable, they are using our product. And the right side is another example of our construction material. You can see the curved design for this wood deck. This is a design we made as well for those users and designers. We can express such design, curved design, for their preference, and that is why they decided to use our product. This is another one. This is the last page. This is another example outside of Japan. The left side is a hotel. This is the swimming pool. This is the wood deck for the swimming pool. And on the right side, this is an area very close to the ocean. And this is another wood deck as well. And by having such cases, I think this was in 2012 that they constructed this, and they can use the products for a long time with ease of mind. What we are thinking about is for people to use it very long time. The material for the wood, we don't have to cut trees for the products. That means we can preserve forest resources, and also we don't have to manufacture plastic materials. That means we can contain CO2 emission for manufacturing. This is our unique technology. And also during the researches, we have used Eco-M wood. With certain conditions, we can recycle the materials, and we have confirmed that already. And if we can increase the usage of this product outside of Japan, in the future, we can roll out more businesses outside of Japan, and we might be able to open the manufacturing sites outside of Japan as well. And we'd like to aim for that. In the end, for the implementation of SDGs, we would like to brush up our technology as well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Naka, thank you very much for the explanation.
続きまして、
Next speaker is from Taiyo Shoji Company Limited. Mr. Shimauchi, please. My name is Shimauchi from Taiyo Shoji Company Limited. Today, I'm going to explain about fluorocarbon reclamation business and reclamation machinery. And we are refilling and selling a company of high-pressure gas with a main focus on refrigerant gases. And through the reclamation and destruction of fluorocarbons, we have contributed to the conservation of global environment. In 2017, we participated in JICA's support for Japanese SMEs Overseas Business Development Program. And we conducted the dissemination and demonstration program for creation of industry for recovery, reclamation, and destruction of fluorocarbons to contribute to the ozone layer protection and climate change measures. And we are still working with the local partner organizations, companies, and schools to continue with this fluorocarbon recovery and reclamation business. First of all, let me share with you some of the issues with the fluorocarbons regulations in developing countries. Fluorocarbons, which are ozone-depleting substances and greenhouse gases, are subject to the requirements under the Montreal Protocol for reduction of production and consumption volumes. CFCs have already been abolished, and HCFCs will be phased out by 2030. HFCs, although not ODS, but high in global warming potential, will be phased down from 2024. To replace these, so-called green refrigerant with lower GWP and equipment using such refrigerants need to be introduced as soon as possible. However, even today, refrigeration air conditioning equipment using CFC and HCFC, not to mention HFC, are still in use in developing countries. Now, let me share with you some of the concerns while the fluorocarbons will be reduced. First of all, lack of funds to replace the equipment using fluorocarbons with equipment using green refrigerant. This is also an issue in Japan. And depending on the type of equipment, green refrigerant equipment itself is not yet developed. For example, for multi-split air conditioners for big buildings, still the R410A refrigerant, which is HFC, is the major one. And there is no alternative green refrigerant equipment yet to be put on the market. And fluorocarbons circulating in the market is expected to be less in the future. And that is why there is a concern that flammable hydrocarbon refrigerant or gas incompatible with the equipment type will be used and cause malfunction, breakage, and incidents. That is why we are promoting the reclamation. Now, reclamation is a process in which to remove impurities from the collected fluorocarbons and to adjust the content so that it can be reused. And the advantages include it consumes less energy and resources as compared to newly developing fluorocarbons, and consumes less energy as compared to destruction process. And the reclaimed fluorocarbons can be resold. And so it can be commercially viable. On the other hand, destruction has issues because there are many cases where the costs have to be incurred. Many users try to avoid the costs and discharge the fluorocarbons at the time of repair and also the discharge. However, for the time being, it is urgent to prevent large quantities of fluorocarbons from being discharged into the air by preventing the leakage and ensuring its recovery through improvement of technical capabilities. To do so, we have to conduct education for improving fluorocarbon recovery techniques in the field, to improve the quality of recovered fluorocarbons and build a system for the reclaimers to buy the recovered fluorocarbons. And reclaimers can utilize the money they get by selling the reclaimed fluorocarbons to destroy them, and starting with the low-quality recovered gases that cannot be reclaimed. Now, I'd like to talk about our reclamation machinery. As we said in the outset, from March 2017 to April 2019, we collaborated with JICA to lend the equipment needed for the recovery and reclamation of fluorocarbons to Selangor province in Malaysia. Now, I'd like to explain about the equipment for reclamation of fluorocarbons which were introduced in Malaysia. This diagram shows the flow of reclamation process. And this equipment can respond to refrigerants R20, R22, R134A, R110A, R407C, and R32. Heat is applied to gasify the recovered fluorocarbons and is dehydrated, de-oiled, and de-acidified through the absorbent in the absorption column. The gaseous fluorocarbons are cooled once again to be liquefied and filled into the cylinder. And this is the outer appearance of the equipment. First of all, it is contained within a container, so it's portable. And the upper left is the outer appearance, and the upper right is the absorption column. Now, let me explain about the process. First, set a cylinder filled with fluorocarbons to be reclaimed to the left side of the reclaiming machine and wrap a belt heater for heating around it. Fluorocarbons gasified by heating will have impurities such as acids, oils, and removed in the absorption column and cooled in the right side of the reclaiming machine to be liquefied once again and filled into the cylinder. Next, the process of fluorocarbon reclamation. First, check the information of the cylinder number and weight. Then use the Ichinen Tasco-made portable analyzer to check the type of fluorocarbon and whether it is reclaimable or not. And as a result of the analysis, fluorocarbons that meet the standards for reclamation is then refilled into a large cylinder and goes through the reclamation process explained earlier. But based on the result of the analysis, those that do not meet the standards will be destroyed. And the images of the flask shows the fluorocarbon before and after the reclamation. So after the reclamation, it becomes very clean. And the fluorocarbons after reclamations need to be checked for meeting the standards or not. In the JICA project, it was only a single type of refrigerant that was used, so we could only use the simplified analyzer. But the company that installed this reclamation machine actually introduced on their own a gas chromatographer, which allows for analysis of mixed gases. And thanks to this, more accurate analysis is made possible, and reclamation of mixture of gases is also possible. Now, what I've explained so far is called reclamation, and it is different from the general recycling. The difference is that reclamation, first of all, can obtain the qualities which are equivalent to new product. But for that, it needs to satisfy certain quality standards. And since a high-precision analyzer is used in this process, the reclaimed gas is highly reliable, as you can produce evidence in the form of a certificate, for example. On the other hand, the recycling is to remove impurities from used fluorocarbons with a simple equipment and to reuse it. For example, a recycling machine used in the repair of car air conditioners recovers fluorocarbons from the car and removes oil and water in a simplified manner. In this way, the amount that can be recycled is limited, and it is difficult to sell the recycled gas on the market. In the future, it is expected that fluorocarbons will be in short supply. Therefore, ensuring the supply of high-quality fluorocarbon is very important. Lastly, we partner with Japanese and local companies participating in the reclamation project to implement the collection and recovery project for fluorocarbons for major Japanese companies operating in ASEAN. We also continue to support the education and training of vocational schools and companies who are our partners in the JICA project. We will continue to contribute to conserving the environment of the world and also for the living standards of the people.
Next is Mr. Yoshikazu Miwa from Pirica Inc. Please. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Miwa from Pirica. Today I would like to talk about tackling challenges and in urbanizing areas that I'm sure you wish to address. The time is limited for today, so I cannot give all the details, but after my presentation, please do not hesitate to contact me to the email address that will be shown at the end of the presentation. So first, I would like to briefly introduce who we are, Pirica, and then I would like to share with you about three technologies of our companies and contributing to the environmental solution.
Miwa-sama.
Mr. Miwa, can you hear us?
はい、現在ピリカの
Well, due to connectivity issues, it seems that Mr. Miwa is now disconnected. So we would like to hand over to Mr. Wan Ling. Oh, Mr. Miwa, are you connected again? Can you hear us? I apologize. That was probably for our connectivity issues on our side. Yes, and your sound was sort of staggered and for a while. Can you start once again your presentation? Yes. My apologies. So if you could please go to my page 3 of the deck. So I'd like to briefly explain who we are, Pirica. We are Pirica. We are environmental venture company based out of Tokyo. Pirica means beautiful in Ainu language. And then our CEO, Mr. Kojima, when he was at the University of Kyoto in 2021, created Pirica as a company. And last year was our 10th anniversary. And then we were awarded the first environmental startup award from Ministry of Environment. And then our founder and CEO Kojima is one of the innovators under 35 of Japan. In 2021 by MIT Technology Review. And then our mid to long term goal is to reduce the volume of garbage and waste. And if you are interested in working with us, because we are in hiring process, please contact us. And we have mainly 3 technologies we are good at. And first is survey for litter distribution through image analysis, and then litter picking social networking service, and technology of microplastic research and analysis. And with these 3 technologies, we are trying to improve the urban environment. So first of all, this is the first technology, survey of litter distribution through image analysis, called Takanome. And currently, in Battambang, Cambodia, Smart City project is being led by the MLIT of Japan, and we are part of that project with this technology. As you can see with the camera and the video, you shoot the video of the streets, and we identify about 40 different types of litters by image analysis. As you can see here, the distribution of litters can be converted into the GIS data, and then we can show it in this type of heat map. With this technology, this is an application of EVPM, evidence-based policy making in Japan. And then, for instance, in the city of Yokohama, in 8 locations within the city, these are designated by ordinance, and then we surveyed before and after the designation, all 8 locations. And you can see before ordinance for cleaning, you can see that red hotspots with a huge concentration of garbage in those locations. And after the ordinance designation of clean zones, after, on the right-hand side map, you see that there are no hotspots in red. So the quantitative and then rapid evaluation of litter distribution and comparison between cities or between different points within the same city can be done with this technology. And prior to sport events or international conventions, conferences, then this technology can be utilized as part of the preparation of the site. Starting from last year, we have been developing an updated version of this technology, and with camera-mounted vehicles, and we can utilizing AI identify litters on roads. Currently, pilots are ongoing in Saitama Prefecture and Tokyo. And then last year, JICA, with the COVID-19 pandemic, conducted a survey in developing countries for the feasibility studies this technology. And in Southeast Asian countries, this was part of that investigation and evaluation. So I hope that you will be able to make use of this technology as an evidence, scientific evidence, to make policy recommendations or utilize in your environment project. Next, I'd like to talk about our second technology, litter picking social networking service. Pirica is a very simple application, easy to use. The users and communities can record and share the information of litter picking and cleanup actions around the world throughout the internet, and it can boost the motivation of picking garbage, making cleaning cities cleaners. The third one is that this second technology has already been used by more than 210 million pieces of litter in 111 countries. And then in more than 10 municipalities in Japan, this Pirica app was adopted to visualize the garbage conditions and the cleaning process progresses in those 10 municipalities. And over 1,500 organizations have already adopted and installed this app. And then this app also has a functionality of an illegal dumping of garbage reporting system. In Ibaraki Prefecture, currently, the citizen volunteers send and share through this app and the illegal dumping images, and municipal officers deal with that. Next is a technology of microplastic research and analysis, and this technology is called Albatros. Regardless of environmental conditions, we developed our unique solution and device to be able to research and analyze microplastic garbages in water under the equal conditions. And microscope FTIR is used to analyze and collected microplastic pieces, and we can also identify the source product through cooperation with our partners. And in this, in cities in Japan and in EU cities, artificial turf recently has been identified as a source of microplastics. And currently, with football J League teams and general contractors, we are working on specific solutions to install a mesh net around the field to prevent leakages of microplastics from artificial turf. Albatros was used in the survey of over 300 points of locations in 10 countries, and then it was also adopted in the UNEP introduced Albatros method in Thailand, Vietnam, and then last year it was also used as part of a countermeasure project in Cambodia. And so as I said, we have original unique technologies which are already implemented for social solutions. This is one of our strengths and advantages. And in order to elucidate fundamental causes of environmental challenges and problems, we are working with the Thai Technology Institute. We signed an MOU with them, and then we are working with them in these projects. Last but not least, our technologies are not capitalized on by Pirica alone, but we are deploying them through our collaboration with various stakeholders such as scientists and engineers, institutes, NGOs, CBO citizens, organizations, and government, municipality politicians, and company media journalists. We have been accumulating our track record through partnerships with them, and then we would like to, going forward, partner up with you as well to be able to contribute to cleaning your own cities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Next is Chuo Kaihatsu, Dr. Lin Wan, to make a presentation. This is a recorded video.
Hello, everyone. I'm Wang Lin, a senior manager of Chuo Corporation, Japan. Today, I will introduce you our recent research supported by the SIP, the Cabinet Office of Japan. My presentation title is An Early Warning System of Landslide and Slope Failure by MEMS Tilting Sensor Array.
This slide will introduce you a success early warning case of slope failure dam site in Japan, which carried out by our company in 1990. A 70 meters high and 200 meters length cut slope improvement construction works on National Route 327, Miyazaki Prefecture of Japan, year 1990. Therefore 2 extensor meters to monitoring were immediately installed. A rock mass of 60,000 cubic meters collapsed 40 days after installation. The time of collapse had been forecast accurately by the Sato method. Also, on the forecast time of the rock failure, 2 video cameras at 2 fixed point was carried out for detail analysis as to the mechanism of collapse and the form of the motion involved. Of course, if no early monitoring is carried out in this dam field, a large disaster may be happened. The warning threshold is an essential condition for determining warning alert of slope disaster prevention. The Sato model is an important method for predicting the time of slope failure. According to a paper wrote by Sato in 1961, his results were based on a creep rupture test. It means that Sato referred to the creep rupture life prediction from Monkman-Grant law, as shown in this slide. Sato, 1961, monitored the movement of stakes to investigate the possibility of rapid movement before failure and elucidate the creep rupture behavior of earth slopes. Based on 80 field observations, they found that strain monitoring along the slope surface is the most promising approach for forecasting the time of slope failure. One of their most important findings was that the time until failure is inversely proportional to the constant strain rate in the secondary creep phase. This relationship is independent of the soil type and testing method, and is universally valid for all tested materials. Moreover, this relationship was extended to the tertiary phase of creep, and a method for predicting the time of slope failure was proposed. This formula is independent of the soil type and the testing methods. The range of data scattering in this figure is plus or minus 0.59 and contains 95% of the data points. It is difficult to predict in advance where slope failures will occur, therefore, multipoint measurement, which shown in slide, becomes important. This slide shows the sketch of MEMS tilt sensor with volumetric water content for early warning. We have been developing a new type of slope monitoring device with the objective of predicting the time of failure triggered by heavy rainfall. The major issues in the development of this technology are the use of micro-electromechanical systems, MEMS, sensors for the tilting angle, which is attached on the top of a steel rod embedded in a slope shown in slide. This slide shows a detection of rain-induced landslides in critical slopes in Lake Barroon Catchment, Malini Plateau, Brisbane, Australia. We installed 5 tiltometers in here. The two-dimensional distribution of the tilt angles that accumulated during the precipitation events between June 15 and November 10, 2016, is shown in slide, where the red color indicates that the inclinometer tilted toward the slope bottom, and the blue color indicates the opposite tilting direction. As can be seen, the slope continuously deformed throughout the monitoring period. By installing an array of multiple sensors, it was possible to investigate the recorded distribution of tilt angles and detect erroneous cases that do not fit the above-mentioned pattern. Thus, a slope monitoring and warning system can avoid false alarms caused by the local fluctuation of data, but this error cannot be avoided when using a single sensor system. This graph shows the slope inclination situation after 2 weeks. This graph shows the slope inclination situation after 2 weeks. This graph shows the slope inclination situation after 2 weeks. The slope inclination situation after 2 weeks. As you saw that you can feeling the slope deformation with the escape time in fact, so that the two-dimensional distribution of the tilt angles given you a direct imaging to find the situation as early as possible. These pictures compare the deformation situation of the landslide slope between October 28 of 2017 to February 10 of 2018. As you see, the slope deformation, induced by landslide, increased during this 4-month interval. This is consistent with the results of tilt angle monitoring, which reveal that the angle increased with time. What is the timing that we send out the warning issue based on tilt sensors array? Warning threshold based on behavior of multiple sensors can be suggested as following equation. A safety alert is very important. If using single sensor, the miss alert is not easy avoided because of warning issue can easily be caused by local movement, animal contact, etc. Suitable sensor intervals for multi-point measurement reduces the coverage of each sensor, thus improving system accuracy just like this graph. If an area of installation for individual sensor is safety, the zones show green color. If some area of installation for individual sensor becomes unstable, the zones show yellow color. And if some area of installation for individual sensor becomes unstable, the zones show red color. At the same time, the alert should be sent out based on the judgment of above equation. Conclusion. The linear relationship between the logarithm of the rate of the tilting angle of the sensors and the logarithm of the time remaining until slope failure was demonstrated. This relationship has an interesting similarity to the relationship suggested by the Monkman-Grant model and Sato's rheological interpretation of laboratory soil tests. The recent extension of monitoring to multi-point practice enables a more detailed interpretation of slope behavior in the transient stage and up to the final failure. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.
では続きまして NEC エクソン
Next, from NEC Exxon Holdings, Proprietary Limited, Mr. Koide. And Mr. Koide also recorded his presentation before.
Thank you very much for giving me a great opportunities. My name is Yosuke Koide. I am based in Johannesburg in South Africa. Today, I would like to introduce NEC's capabilities in Africa in terms of the renewable energies. It's called alternative energy in our business. This slide shows about our presence in Sub-Saharan Africa. As you can see, blue countries where NEC has a presence from Algeria to Zimbabwe, and green countries where we have a strategic partners. And NEC has been doing business in this continent since 1963, and accumulated turnover is around $4 billion US. And NEC has a technical advanced center where we can provide managed services, remote support maintenance services from Johannesburg and Cape Town. And before going into deep dive of the renewable energy business, let me introduce NEC's network business. NEC has been supplied microwave radio transmission equipment since 1984, over 166 countries. And even in African continent, NEC has been supplied microwave radio transmission equipment over 50 countries. And NEC has a lot of mobile network operators client in this continent. And this slide shows about very typical mobile network operators base tower station off-grid rural area in African continent. As you can see this slide, there is no grid cable. It means electricity cable. But our network equipment is running. But how can be running? The answer is there is a diesel generator on the right-hand side bottom, green box. Diesel generator generates electricity so that network equipment is running. But in order to keep diesel generator running, it costs a lot of fuels, depending on the site road, but it's approximately 40 liters. It means 9 gallons of gasoline every day. But as you can imagine, rural area is very far from the city, so even the transportation of the fuel from the city to the rural area, it takes a lot of cost and a lot of time. So this means those are the issues for the mobile network operators. And NEC developed renewable energy systems. It's called NEC Hybrid Energy Battery Storage Solutions. On the right-hand side, it can be utilized with solar PV or even the existing diesel generators, so that the generated electricity through solar PV stored on the battery storage, and those stored electricity to be utilized for the network equipment. And thanks to those technologies, we have successfully reduced diesel fuel consumptions. And before and after, before installation of NEC hybrid energy storage solutions, diesel generator was running 24 hours, and the consumed fuel is approximately 40 liters, yes, 9 gallons of gasoline every day. But thanks to NEC's hybrid energy storage solutions, we have successfully reduced diesel generators running hours approximately 80%. It means 5.4 hours per day. And it means reduction of the consumption of the fuels. And it can contribute to the reduction of the CO2 emissions. And those hybrid energy storage solution has registered on the United Nations Industrial Development Organization's Investment and Technology Promotion Office in Tokyo, who is running the program called STEP. STEP is stand for the Sustainable Technology Promotion Platform. And not only providing the hybrid energy storage solutions, NEC has completed solar power plant in Africa. The 1.3 megawatt solar plant has an annual generation capacity of 2 gigawatt hour, which can cover 79% of load for this recycled plant and will reduce their carbon emission by 1,800 tons every year, which is equal to the carbon sequestered by just under 31,000 tree seedlings grown for 10 years. And not only for solar energy better for the environment, but it will also bring down electricity cost an estimated 30% from the first months and savings of around $9 million over the course of the life cycle of the solar plant. And lastly, according to the World Bank, 21 countries of the 25 least connected countries are in Africa. But the continent has among the fastest growing internet growth worldwide. ITU research cited by the World Bank shows that 10% more mobile broadband penetration in Africa improves 2.5% GDP per capita. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koide. So with this, we completed all the presentations by all the companies. I would like to express my appreciation for all the participating companies.